We all wish we could bring our Disney vacation home with us, right? To have that Disney feeling every day? Well, why not start your day the Disney way with a Disney blend from Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company? With over 23 varieties to choose from the French bistro you find in your resort room to the Yachtsman Steakhouse and Gico, of course, and now Joffrey's newest Disney blend, Le Cellier. Why not start your day with that Disney magic? Order yours today at Joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. To our new passengers, aloha and welcome aboard.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott.
I'm Bob Collar.
This is a very exciting ResortLoop.com. Bob, tell them about this special show,
Oh my gosh, This is, we've got some incredible people on our 4th anniversary. I know it's 408. It should be 400, right? Or something like that.
Something. But, my fault. The Holiday Thons messed all that up.
Yeah. And whose fault is that?
I said me. The Holiday Thons.
All right.
No, it's implied. But I'm so excited for this show. 4 years with you. I should get a medal.
Go ahead and introduce our guest, Tim.
Bob, I'm very excited to announce on the show today, joining us for this very special episode of ResortLoop.com, we have Tasha Sounart and Steve Mason, the Associative Creative Directors for the parks from Pixar Animation Studios.
Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. We got to ask what's the weather like in Emeryville?
It's not bad. With all the rain we've had lately, it's a sunny day and it's a little cool. So we have a deluge of rain coming for the next few days, so we're going to get the sun while we can.
Oh, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah. We have cloudy and snow / rain. It's not a nice day here.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, my wife keeps asking, why did we decide to move back to Ohio? I don't know. So we really appreciate you guys coming on. I know you guys are really busy with Toy Story Land that you guys are working on. A lot of stuff going on. Why don't you kind of tell everybody what you guys do?
So we're both associate creative directors in the theme parks group at Pixar. And I know like a couple episodes back, you guys had an interview with our bosses, Liz Gazzano and Roger Gould. And so we work with them, and our job is basically to make sure that in all the Disney parks around the world that anytime they're using the Pixar characters that it's consistent with what we're doing on the films and everything's on model and looks good. And
it's a really neat partnership with the folks at Imagineering and the folks in the parks and even with merchandise. And so anytime there's a chance to bring these characters to life in the parks world or in the merchandise, we like to be involved in that. And we tend to think we know the characters pretty well.
I would think so. I would think that you would do that. Yeah.
But we always do check. I mean, it's like the first thing we do when we get a project is really look back and make sure we do have the right memory. Where do McQueen's decals fit and that sort of thing. So we never rely on just the fact that, I know where that goes. We always like to check out.
Yeah.
You truly do have to know, be kind of intimately aware of every aspect of those characters, and where things would be on each one, for example, the Woody character what his vest really would look like and recreate that to a T. So.
Yeah, you'd be amazed at how easy it is to change things or flop, Buzz Lightyear only has a laser on one side and how it tends to get flopped to the other side if you don't watch it.
Wow. Okay.
Someone will see that. Someone will find that.
Very good. How did you guys get started in animation?
You want to start, or?
I guess I'll start. Well, I went to small university art school for My major was painting and drawing, so I had no training in animation, but I wanted to be an animator, so that was a little weird. But I will say, for anyone wanting to do that, is really those skills translate. Once you learn those sort of basic skills to drawing and painting, composition, story, that sort of thing, they always translate, so the tools may change. But anyway, so with that, I tried to get into animation. I was on the East Coast, there was nothing, so I moved to LA with no job and looked around. And finally, about at the end of my money, I found a job at Klasky Csupo Studios in Hollywood, working on the Rugrats cartoon for Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, love that.
There for a while, and then I had been applying to Disney because that was my dream job, and there was a studio opening in Florida at the MGM studio, was Disney MGM at the time, and they had a little animation tour, and we were actually going to start producing animation there, and I started there as an intern in, oh gosh, 1993? And I was there until they worked on all the pictures there. We worked on Pocahontas, Mulan, Lilo and Stitch, Brother Bear, John Henry, and a number of shorts as well. And it was a great little studio. It was also served as a tour for the parks, and it was my sort of first intro to the parks because every lunch break I would just walk out and walk around the MGM studios, or we'd on our downtime go over to Epcot. So I spent a lot of time just walking the grounds and seeing everything. And when the 2D studio closed down there, I went and changed to working in computer animation. Moved out to California again and took a job with DreamWorks for a while and began animating on, I worked on Shark Tale, Madagascar. Really starting to learn the computer. It was a rough beginning. Finally took a job here at Pixar in 2005. Cars was my first film. I was an animator here for about 10 years, up until the last picture I worked on was The Good Dinosaur. And then there was an opportunity to work over in the theme parks group. And really, I had been doing the animation thing for quite a while, and in the computer animation, I wasn't doing as much drawing as I liked. And this job, it looked like there was just like a chance to do so many different things. There's always something new, something that no one's ever done before, or something that there's new problems constantly. And I just thought it was a refreshing thing, and it has really been that for me. It's a very busy, very eclectic department.
Yeah.
First of all, what's going to come up and what kind of thing? Oh, we need to build a 2-story tall Buzz Lightyear. Oh, we need a keychain. It's like we need some animation for this, or we need a, so it's just so amazingly interesting, and you just never know the problems that you're going to have to solve. So.
Yeah, it's a good decision. So my story is maybe didn't take quite so many twists and turns, but I grew up in Los Angeles, and there's a school called CalArts that's really well known for their animation program. And I took some summer school classes there when I was in high school, in this program called California State Summer School for the Arts. For California residents, definitely check that out if you're interested in animation, if you're a high school student. And through that, I just really liked animation. At the time, it was all 2D animation. This was back in like 94. But at CalArts, I learned 2D animation, and then I got an internship at Pixar after my sophomore year. And then after school, I started animating on A Bug's Life. And so I was an animator in feature animation at Pixar for 9 years, starting on A Bug's Life. And I worked on Finding Nemo, Monsters, Inc., Toy Story 2, and Cars, and a short called For the Birds. And after that, I was kind of feeling like I was in this little bit of a artistic rut, maybe. Also just because Pixar was the only place I had worked at out of school. And I always loved video games, so I ended up working at a company called Double Fine, working on video games. And I actually got to direct my own video game when I was working there called Costume Quest. So I was at Double Fine for about 5 years and then came back to Pixar. And when I came back to Pixar, I really didn't want to work on feature animation anymore. I was kind of, I don't want to say bored with that, but it's not boring. It's very challenging. But I guess from working at a smaller company and from working on games, I was a little bit more interested in doing a variety of things. And working in feature animation can be very much like you're kind of just working on one thing like all day. You're really focused on like your shot that you're animating. So I ended up working in the marketing department at Pixar on a lot of marketing materials like posters and billboards and things like that for a while when I first came back to Pixar. And then, and then like Steve said, they were hiring some associate creative director position in the theme parks group, and it just seemed really fun. And I liked the theme parks a lot, and it also seemed kind of like a combination of both jobs that I've had. The video game aspect of it, there is a lot of kind of multimedia stuff in the parks nowadays. And one of the projects I worked on, the first project I worked on was called Turtle Talk, which I don't know if you're familiar with that
Love
attraction.
Turtle Talk. Love it.
Yeah. But the way that it works is kind of similar to a video game. So, it kind of draws on a lot of my past experiences at both of my jobs.
That's awesome. So I got to ask.
Midway Mania, stuff like that too.
Very good. I got to ask real quick. So you're familiar with the magic circle? We asked Liz about that.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, we also lily pads.
Lily pads. I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot in my new jobs. Oh, it's in Turtle Talk. Like when the kids sit down, sometimes they sit on a lily pad so that like if they get too excited, they might leak a little bit.
Gotcha. Right. Okay, I'm all caught up.
Right.
Tasha, I got to ask, when you were at CalArts, did you take a class in the room A113 that's so famous?
Oh, yeah. Well, A113 is the entire animation department at CalArts.
Okay.
So, yeah. All of our classes are in there.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Steve, I want to ask, is there any... what was like doing the transition from hand-drawn animation to a computer animation? Is that difficult, or was it pretty easy for you? How's that transpire?
It was exceedingly difficult.
Really?
Yeah, it is. It's really hard.
I really enjoyed. That's all I ever wanted to do was the hand drawn. So, and I know when we would have company meetings and they would show stuff from Pixar, I don't think I really saw the writing on the wall. I remember seeing the first Toy Story dailies where they showed us some stuff, and we were like, "Oh, that's cool," but I didn't know my job was in jeopardy.
Oh, right.
But the thing about the drawing, there's some things that they both have their strengths and their weaknesses, and there's just some things I can do in hand drawn that are so much harder in the CG animation. But then vice versa, there's some things in computer animation that's so much easier now than having to draw it 50 million times. But the hardest thing to me was just not having that control of the graphic image like I did before, and now just the difference is it's the computer is more akin to puppeteering or stop motion than it is to hand drawn. So that now I had to get used to my model is done. In 2D, I'm drawing the model. Every time I draw it, I can redesign it if I need to for anything. If it looked better at this angle if I sort of, change the shape of the hairline or something like that.
Right.
I'm totally free to get away with that. In CG, I have this model that's built for me, and now the tools have gotten so amazing nowadays that it actually really is great for a 2D guy. But in the beginning, the computer dictated a lot, and it was very frustrating for somebody that was used to having that ultimate control over the final image to say, oh, now, I'm sort of forced to work within the parameters of that. Like I said, though, that it leaps and bounds now to what we can do, and I really enjoy it. But it was tough.
Wow. Well, I tell you, that one short you guys have with the little bird on the beach, incredible.
Oh yeah, Piper. Yeah.
Piper. Yeah, that's right, Piper. Yeah, wow. And I'm sure, from where you guys were to where you are now is just, like decades ahead of where you were.
It is astounding, and the look of that one is just incredible. And I think that even just started as a simple short to test the pipeline, and it just was working so well, and the story got stronger and stronger. Like, wait a minute.
Well, and the character is just so appealing too. It's like, we should make this.
Absolutely. Well, let's get to what you guys kind of do. How do you decide what characters will go into the parks?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah. Well, we work a lot with WDI, the Imagineers, and a lot of times, in fact, I would say, most of the time, they're actually coming to us with an idea of some sort of goal that they want in the park. So, for instance, for Turtle Talk, we want to refresh this because, we're not getting as full of crowds as maybe we used to. And with our new movie coming out, we think it would be a good opportunity to add some characters. So usually they'll come to us with some sort of goal, and then we'll sort of collaborate on figuring out what the best way to do that is.
That's what makes it such a great partnership, is I think they have a need or a desire to try, I'd like to have a Toy Story land. That kind of thing.
Right.
And then it's, have we done that before? How do we look into that? But it's also, a lot of it is in that partnership, the ideas come up, whether it's brainstormed from the parks or from WDI or from us. It's really a neat relationship because you feel like there's a really nice balance in the way that the ideas come and go, and the collaboration works pretty well for the most part.
We won't get into that.
No.
Yeah.
But it really is it is sort of driven by the parks because they're the ones that are ultimately going to fund the thing too. So that's where we sort of, that's where we have to find these balances of like, if we could have our way, man, would we fill your park?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Pixar. Yeah. Well, also, we have to take into consideration what movies we have coming up too. So,
sure.
We're going to have, an Incredibles sequel coming up. So maybe we'll push to have like more Incredibles characters included in something, so we always keep in mind that too, of like what characters we want represented at which times to kind of go along with our films.
That's true. There's also a little bit of gatekeeping as far as if an idea comes up and it just doesn't jive with our notion of the characters or the rules of the world of these characters, then that's where we have to say, is there any other idea that we can put in this place? Because we like everyone to be happy too. We want, you need something. We want, but if it doesn't, if it's something that's out of nature for our characters, we sort of have to police that as well.
Right.
Sure. Real quick, if I know Incredibles 2 is coming out, one of the great movies you guys made. We wouldn't mind seeing an Incredibles ride.
We wouldn't either. I think it sounds cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Totally agree.
So, what are the different characters you have in the different parks? Do different parks have different needs? And who decides what character would go where?
Oh yeah. Sometimes, it is interesting how in some parks, there's different characters that are popular. Like we did the Ratatouille ride in Paris because that film takes place in Paris, and Remy is like much more popular there than here. And Lotso is really popular in Hong Kong.
That's something that's just amazing. Is that like Lotso in Hong Kong is not a villain anymore.
Really?
Really?
He's a lovable bear that you just can't get enough of.
Yeah, and he's cute and pink.
and so yeah, it's as much Lotso, and we found that with the Shanghai park as well.
They love Lotso.
Yeah, Lotso has really become a big draw, and so who knew?
That's very interesting.
Really? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it is a really awesome character design, and he does look really cute. And I mean, you take away the dastardly things he's done, how lovable he is.
Yeah, so it is interesting sometimes to kind of do a little research on which characters are the most popular in which locations, and then we'll kind of, tailor the characters that we put, or the merchandise that we put in those parks.
It's like the Finding Nemo ride that's going into Tokyo. It's because they have the Tokyo Disney Sea. That park is just sort of tailor-made for an ocean-going ride that they're putting in. So
Right.
That's better.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's going to be awesome.
Definitely. What's more challenging, the animating the films or implementing the characters in the into storylines in the parks?
Wow.
Oh, I don't know. They're both they're both pretty challenging.
Very challenging. The great thing for us is that a lot of the language has been established by the films. Like you know the rules of the world, and almost any audience member knows the rules of the Toy Story world. The toys don't move if an adult's in the room. This are humans in the room. The scale of everything, and that's how we inform with the Toy Story Land. Now we're shrunken to the size of a toy. We're honorary toys. That's why the toys can be alive with us around. So it's like as long as you know those rules, which have been established by the film, it makes our job easier to a certain extent, and then harder. How is that possible? And since it's that we don't have to invent stuff from scratch, but we do need to stay really true to what's established.
Right.
Yeah.
So, are we going to get any teasers or any breaking news on Toy Story Land?
It's coming along really, really great. You actually got to go to Shanghai, so that was pretty cool.
I did. You're talking about the Toy Story Land in Florida, correct?
Yeah,
we're working on 2.
Yeah,
that's right.
You're right now. I think both of them have been
announced.
announced.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't sure that. Okay, yes. Then I just don't know what's out there. Yes, I did go to Shanghai. They are working on 2 Toy Story Lands, and the greatest thing about this job yet is one day you're dealing with something that's an entire land, the next day you're looking at a keychain for to be sold at a shop somewhere. So it's just like the scale of things is amazing, the stuff that we're working on. But with Toy Story Land, I got to take a trip to Shanghai. I got to see them working on these sculpts in progress, which are basically about 2-story tall Buzz and Woody sculptures that will go in the land. And we will work on the data, do the poses for these huge sculpts, fed into a computer, and a huge robot arm with a drill on the end of it just carves it out of this really high quality foam. And it's astounding to watch. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. I was just like watching that as it would carve out these little pieces, and then the sculptors come in at that stage and do all the finishing touches and make it just look gorgeous. And like we had a sculptor from here, Jerome Raff, that went out to sort of take a look at the sculpts and give some notes and that sort of thing. It went really, really well. But when I was there, the land was basically mud, and they were taking a pass. So it's going to be awesome.
Is it hard to communicate with them because of the language difference? They always have do they have a translator there for you?
Yeah, I think they wouldn't have a translator. It's also interesting because the 2 sculptors spoke a little bit of English, but Jerome, as he would talk to them, there's a lot of just a part of the reason that the trip was great to do in person was a lot of the language as I'm moving my hands as I'm talking to you on the radio here. Sorry, on the phone here. But I say he's able to communicate so much by being there in person and just with hand gestures and doing some himself and showing them that sort of stuff that that communication sort of transcended language.
Right.
It's kind of neat
Yeah.
to see. But then then they would have a translator to come in or something. But it's an interesting question because it was something we thought was going to be harder than it was, but it actually worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
They spoke the same sculpture language.
Yeah. Cool.
That's very
Nice.
cool. Yeah. You guys should do a documentary on the how they make those figures. That would be. I would love watching that.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was really neat.
So when you guys are working on a project, how do you decide on like what scale, like what size are you going to make? You know, like Toy Story Land. Like one of my favorite things is the queue for a Toy Story Mania.
Mm-hmm.
How do you decide like this is what the size has to be for everything to be true to the movies?
And that's another thing. Is just being in this is. I'm glad you said the word true because I think that's the truth to materials thing and the truth to scale is something that we're always really concerned about. And it's you would try to establish that as best you can as to a certain scale so that if, even for the whole land now, you're saying, let's assume if Woody is this size and we've established it with this sculpt, now let's have everything scale off of something so we keep it as consistent as possible. And of course, you bend some rules here and there for, aesthetics, but it is really nice to have that sort of built-in idea that we're going to stay true to a scale that we've established here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we the attention to detail is like it's pretty amazing. So they'll do a lot of concept art first. The Imagineers will, and then an amazing tool that we have now is VR mock-ups. So they'll actually build out the attraction in VR, and we can sort of virtually walk through the land or be in the position of the guest riding a ride, and you can see how it feels. So, I mean, I think that's something that has really helped in the development of these lands and to make sure everything feels the right scale. And, even a roller coaster, like the track feels fun and feels like there's enough decoration around.
Yeah.
But I think that the VR mock-ups are really, really helpful.
Yeah, that's been, and it's something that, sorry, when you're talking about scale, it's something that like, you can throw it off, if you work so hard to build this land to scale, say Toy Story Land, and you said, you're the size of toys, suddenly the introduction of something that is not in that scale can really throw you out, and you may not notice it as a guest as you're going through your day, but I think you feel it. You feel something. And I think that's why I'm really impressed with their attention to detail. Just like where they're really sure that they make sure everything fits in that storyline. That you suddenly you've worked so hard to get your Toy Story toy scale. You don't want a trash can to suddenly throw it off. So what can that trash can be so that it doesn't feel like a human-sized trash can? Can it be some blocks? Can it be some dominoes? That sort of thing. So it's those little details too that make the land really succinct.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very cool. That is very cool. As far as whether you're working on a animated film or a park project, which one brings you more satisfaction? I know that's like saying which one's your favorite child, but still.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think either way, you're creating something, and that's what brings me satisfaction. And also, I mean, it always meant a lot to me when we would get, we still get the feedback from the guests or from the viewers of our films, like when they write us letters and just hearing those personal stories of how meaningful they are to people. For me, that's what brings me the most satisfaction, is just feeling like you made a difference in people's lives, and how how attached they get to these characters. So I think that's really what, is so satisfying. And you get that either way of animating something or bringing the characters to life in the park. There is something really cool about building something three-dimensional that's tangible, that you can touch, and that you can actually, like a world that you can physically be in. So I think in that sense, the parks, I don't know, there's something really magical about that.
Just to tell a little story, it was when I did work at the Disney park in that studio there, working those long hours, and you're just really exhausted. You're like, why am I doing this? And we take a walk into the park, and you would see some kids just go crazy for something. Like, look, it's Ariel or whoever. Suddenly it would breathe life. I would get that immediate regeneration of my energy, because I would see, oh yeah, this is what it's doing. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think Tasha's right, is like there is something really nice about having that tangible thing that is there. And then it's hard to say which I would prefer. I love them. I do love them both for different reasons. But it has been a nice change to try, to tackle it from this end. But there's really a lot of consistencies between the two. It is the storyline. What's your story? That's what Roger Gould is always asking us. When we come to here's our idea for this thing. He's like, well, what's the story? That's basically what you're doing in animation. It's like, what is the story we're telling? So it's a lot of the same things that transfer over. Now, as you get down to the end part, it's like, okay, how are we creating? At least in animation, you're always doing it the same almost. Over here, it's like, no, we're gonna do it in flash animation. Now we're gonna do it in a sculpture. Now we're gonna do it in a toy or a walk around character or on ice or whatever.
Right.
It's like,
yeah.
That's very well. That's fair. That you have the different. There's different reasons why you love both. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure that, like you said, that immediate feedback, walking through a park and you see these little kids just going just crazy.
Yeah.
That says a lot. I know I've got 100 pictures of my kids as they got older at Walt Disney World, over at the Pop Century, or not Pop Century, All-Star, the All-Stars. Is it All-Stars? Where you got the giant Buzz and Woody.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't get enough of it, climbing all over Rex the dinosaur and all of that. So, yeah, we thank you for that.
That's awesome.
Speaking of kids, do your kids or nieces or nephews know what you do? Do you say, like, I work with Woody or Sully or anything like that?
It is tough. Yeah, I have 2 daughters, and they know I work at Pixar, and they've been here. And my wife tells me I spoil too much with them. As I'm talking about it, I spoil the illusion, because I'll talk about, look at this scene was, this, and Daddy animated that, and she's like, no, it's Sully. It's Sully.
You
worked with Sully to make that. Like, oh yeah. So,
Right.
I try not to get too much behind the curtain with them.
Yeah, well, my son is only 3.5, so he's been here before, and he knows I work here, but he doesn't really. I don't think he really grasps what it means.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Everybody's mom works there.
Right. Real quick, I got to ask, are you guys in charge of the helpers to like a Buzz and Woody that are walking around the parks? Do you guys teach them how they're supposed to act while they're in the parks?
Well, there are guidelines. We haven't done that directly since we've been in this role, but I know initially there's guidelines to how a character performs.
Yeah, I guess the closest thing would be the Crush performers in Turtle Talk. We do kind of coach them a little bit on how Crush would act and what Crush's voice would sound like, and I'm imagining that the walk around characters have similar guidelines. Although, yeah, we personally haven't done that since we've been in this position, but we're definitely part of creating the costumes,
Mhm.
The sculpts for the costumes and.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very good.
Did you guys get also in charge of the cruise line with the animator's palette and the similar show?
Yep,
We do,
that
yeah.
is under our umbrella.
Mhm.
How many cruises did you have to take to implement that?
Not enough. I think we need more. Yeah, we also work with the Alani Resort, so we should go there too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I worked with the ice show recently, so I got to go. I got to go to Florida to see the ice show, the new ice show implementation.
Yeah, you did a lot with costuming. Didn't you?
Yeah, the new Inside Out costumes and some new characters from Finding Dory.
Mm-hmm.
You could have come to Cleveland for that. We just had that show. You don't want to.
Oh, I've never
Orlando. What's that?
Oh, I've never been to Cleveland, so that would be fun.
Wait till the summertime. That's the
Okay.
Do you have any favorite stories of the characters in the parks?
You mean stuff that's happened?
Yeah. Anything like magic circles, kind of.
Any personal stories?
Oh,
Anything
right.
Gosh, I don't really have just right off the bat, nothing's jumping in my head, but I will say what's really been neat is spending time working with John Lasseter on these projects, because he is really excited about the parks as well. And just his approach to it has just been eye-opening to me, and how he always seems to ask the right question or know the right things to understand about the land and to think of the big picture. And that's what I've learned so much from him, is just seeing how he's able to pull back and think of, again, the story, and what is it that we're trying to do? What's the most fun to get out of this? And like just looking at the scope and scale of something like Cars Land, and at how he is in these pitch sessions or in these ideas, how he's able to collaborate so well with people, but also see the bigger picture. And I'm just always astounded at the insight he has, and how he's like, well, look, I know everybody loves John, but I'm just saying. Well, I've seen him in a different light. I've seen him before as an animation director, but now as in this light, to see him, get this pitch of something and then suddenly ask a question that's so obvious. It's like, of course well, okay, but what's our grand scheme? What's the thinking behind this, or what's your story here, or what's this? And it's really been a neat thing for me. So
Yeah.
I was just buying time so you could.
Oh. Shoot.
Oh, you got sucked into the story.
I was just listening to the story.
Yeah. But it has been really neat to see that, and Roger as well, just because they have been doing this for so long, and they have worked on so many different things, and they just have the insight to think big. Where I hear a pitch of something that the parks wants to do, and I'll get sucked into it. I'm like, wow, that sounds cool. Yeah, let's do it. And then suddenly one of them will say something that has just made me rethink the whole thing in a bigger scale, broader scale. Like, well, what's the story? Why does this fit in this world? What's the best way to carry this through? I just think that's been astounding.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to kids that want to do what you do? What track should they follow? What would you recommend they do?
Well, I mean, we both started in animation, so I definitely think that's a way to go. Although I think it's harder to get into animation now than it was when I was in high school and college.
I would say
it's interesting because
I would say there's a lot of routes.
There's a lot of routes. Yeah, I was about to say, the Imagineers, they have all sorts of different backgrounds. There's graphic designers. There's people who come into it more from the art side, and then there's people who come into it more from the science side or engineering background. So there's definitely a lot of different routes that you can take. I mean, these theme park attractions are so, multimedia and involving so many different disciplines that you can almost come into it from any kind of
I would
lots
say,
of different backgrounds.
If you're a kid listening to this and you have a desire to be in animation or be in theme park or do any of this sort of work, just know that wherever you are, you can do it from there. You know, it's like you don't have to have it's great to go to CalArts, but you don't have to have, there are lots of routes to this, and really it's about learning. And right now, kids today have everything, you know, but because of the internet and because of all the options of learning on the internet, there's a lot available that I wish I'd had. You know, it's like you can, because there's all the books and there's all the things you can read, but there's also tutorials online and there's online schools and everything that can help you with this. And I think just a basic foundation in the arts is always strong, will help you in any of these roles.
Yeah, and the other thing that I always give advice to people who are making their portfolios and stuff is showcase your ideas, because that's where you're really going to show what's unique about you and your personality. So when you're looking at a lot of portfolios, you often see a lot of the same kind of exercises over and over. Like, okay, here's the character carrying a heavy object, and here's the character balancing on something, and here's the character, you know, whatever assignments that they had in school. But where you really differentiate yourself is in your own work, in your own short film, or it doesn't even have to be a short film, but maybe a couple lines of dialogue, but just creating your own unique thing that shows your sense of humor, your aesthetic that's different from, it just makes you, it'll make you stand out. And I think that that's something that, you know, can be valuable and whenever you're putting together a portfolio for any of these kind of jobs.
Exactly. It's getting that foundation, learning those basics. They're all the same throughout, everything's perspective, all that sort of thing. And then it is, like Tasha said, is expanding beyond that in a way that you're expressing yourself. I think it's great.
All right, guys, so Pixar is famous for hidden Easter eggs in their movies. Can we look forward to anything involving the theme parks or shows, anything like that? Any hidden Easter eggs we can keep an eye out for?
Easter egg.
That's a good one. I tell you, there is an amazing attention to detail on almost everything, and the things that get added at almost every level are amazing. I can't right offhand think of one in particular.
I mean, in Sea Rider, is there any kind of secret thing that?
Sea Rider isn't it's going to be a really, really neat ride, but I'm trying to think there are some cameos in there.
I mean, I think a cool thing about Sea Rider is those side windows, and like, so the cabin of the Sea Rider has kind of like a main screen that's just like a big movie screen, kind of like Star Tours or something like that. But then you also have these windows along the sides of the cabin, so it really makes you feel immersed, like you're actually in a submarine. So I think that, you know, the animators, when they did their animation, they had to also think about those side windows. And sometimes you'll see a character pop up on the side window or something and do something cute. Yeah. And so I think that's kind of a fun little extra for people who have gone on the ride more than once. You might look on the side windows and see something you haven't seen before. It
really is immersive, because like if Mr. Ray swims over you, you get to see his wings on either side of the side windows and that sort of thing. It just, even if you don't look at it directly, you sort of see it in your peripheral vision, and you just get that real sense that you're in that environment. I think that is an awesome, maybe not necessarily an Easter egg, but it's it's a really awesome touch that you're right. Within those windows, there will probably be a lot of little pop-up gags and stuff that you'll want to look for after you've ridden it a few times. The great other thing about that ride is there's sort of a different story every time you go on it. It's an exchanging storyline.
Like a branching storyline.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's really,
that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, is that in Tokyo?
That is,
yeah, Tokyo Disney Sea.
Okay. There's another place you need to go, Bob.
And that's coming out this summer, I believe, right? Do you know? Nobody knows?
Yes, it is.
I think so.
I got to get Tim to give me the company credit card, and we'll go over.
Yeah. We have so many projects going on. It's hard to keep track of when everything is.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It sounds like it. Well, Tim, unfortunately, we got to let these guys go and make more magic for us. So before we let you go, I got to say, and Tasha and Steve, thank you so much for coming on our 4th anniversary show. We really, really appreciate it. But more importantly, we just really appreciate what you guys do for us, the fans of the parks and the Pixar movies and everything. It's just it is, you guys at Pixar have truly changed the way kids see the world, the way that animation is done. Like I said, Piper is one of the most incredible things that I've ever seen, and so thank you for all of the things that you guys do to make the world a happier place.
We try. Thanks. I mean, it's just so great to hear feedback from fans. So we really appreciate that too.
Yeah, and congratulations on 4 years.
Yeah, awesome. I have to listen to more episodes. I just learned about this podcast when you guys asked if we could come on. So I need to catch up.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely. We don't recommend
don't binge listen.
Don't binge listen. No,
we're best in small doses.
Not without a doctor's excuse. So.
Guys, I do
control myself.
Exactly. And I just want to say, my daughter is so excited for Toy Story Land. She's not really a huge Star Wars fan. She's so much more excited for Toy Story Land, and she's 15 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
Our kids grew up with you guys. That's the beauty of it.
She was just talking in the car 2 days ago, and she was like, "I just love the Toy Story movies. They got better each time. I just love all the characters." I'm like, "I'm going to be talking to people from Pixar this week." She was like, "No way."
That's awesome.
Yeah, great.
Well, Tim, that is all I have for Tasha and Steve.
Great. Tasha Sounart and Steve Mason, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It was fun.
Bob, once again, I want to give a special thanks to just the folks over there at Pixar. They've just been so great to us.
Absolutely. Great group of people. I want to work there. Anyway, I got to say, to all of our listeners, thanks so much for hanging in there with us for 4, probably on you guys' end, long years. It's gone by in a flash for us.
It has.
We absolutely love doing the show. We love the interaction with all of you in Looper Nation, and just thanks for 4 great years. So, Tim, once again, that is all I've got.
All right, 4 great years and more great years to come. Maybe. Everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott. You can find me on Twitter at ResortLoopTim, on Facebook at Tim Scott, and our website, ResortLoop.com.
I'm ResortLoop Bob on the Twitter and Instagram, and as long as Tim allows me to keep doing this, I will keep doing it. Because there was like a pause there. I'm not sure what's going on. Did Testa call you again?
Maybe.
What else should people do, Tim?
Anybody, if there's ever been a show of ours that you want to go out there and share, it'd be this one. Go out there and share the gateway to the magic.
See you, everybody.
With 4 theme parks, 25 resort hotels, hundreds of dining and shopping locations, and seemingly innumerable special events and ticket options, planning a trip to Walt Disney World can seem overwhelming. That's why the ResortLoop.com podcast has teamed up with People Mover Travel to help you get the most magic out of your Disney vacation. People Mover Travel will walk you through every aspect of your next Disney trip, from ensuring you get the best discounts to FastPass Plus and dining reservations and so many other things. Best of all, there is no fee for their service. That's right, you get your very own expert Disney vacation planner at no cost to you. For more information and to request a free, no-obligation quote, visit peoplemovertravel.com.
Did you laugh in the middle of that? Did I say something funny?
No.
You find me amusing?
No,
Do you?
not usually.
Do you?
No.
Do you,
not
punk?
at all.